My fiancée slept with her ex days before our engagement. I found out from a stranger. Then I called off the wedding. Her reaction was beyond insane. Found out my fiancée cheated with her ex right before our engagement, called off the wedding. She went completely psycho and tried to ruin my life. This happened about 6 months ago, but I'm finally ready to talk about it. Still processing everything honestly. I, 29M, was with Emma, 27F, for 3 years. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party, one of those classic scenarios where we ended up talking all night, and I completely forgot about everyone else at the party. She was this vibrant, confident woman who seemed to light up every room she entered. We had our first date 3 days later, and I was completely smitten. We moved in together after a year, talked about marriage constantly, the whole 9 yards. She'd send me Pinterest boards of wedding dresses and venues, talk about how many kids she wanted, where we'd live when we were older. I genuinely thought she was my soulmate. She was beautiful, smart, funny, and we had this amazing connection, or at least I thought we did. Looking back now, I realize I was probably more invested in the relationship than she was from early on, but at the time everything felt perfect. We had the same sense of humor, similar career ambitions, and she seemed to genuinely enjoy spending time with me. My friends loved her, my family adored her. My mom used to say Emma was exactly what she'd hoped I'd find in a partner. Last October, I was planning this elaborate proposal. Talking months of preparation, custom ring that cost me 3 months' salary, photographer hidden in the bushes at her favorite park, her favorite restaurant booked for the celebration dinner afterward, even coordinated with her best friend to make sure Emma's nails would be done and she'd be wearing something photogenic. I wanted everything to be perfect because I knew she was the one. I spent weeks researching the perfect ring. Emma had always admired vintage styles, so I worked with a jeweler to create something custom with her grandmother's diamonds that her mom had given me specifically for this purpose. The whole family was in on it. Her dad had given me his blessing months earlier over beers in his garage. Her sister helped me plan the perfect timing. The proposal went amazing. I got down on one knee right at sunset by the pond where we'd had our first official date. She cried, said yes immediately, kissed me so hard we both fell over laughing. The photographer captured everything perfectly. He posted it all over social media within minutes: Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, the works. Her friends were commenting with crying emojis and heart eyes. Her family was calling and texting congratulations. Everyone was so excited. We immediately started planning the wedding for this past spring. For the next 2 weeks, we were in this blissful engagement bubble. We looked at venues every weekend. She started a wedding Pinterest board that grew to like 500 pins. We had dinner with both sets of parents to talk about budgets and guest lists. Emma was so excited she could barely focus on anything else. She'd randomly grab my hand just to look at her ring and smile. But here's where everything goes to hell. About 2 weeks after the engagement, I'm at this coffee shop near my office grabbing lunch when this woman approaches me. She's probably in her early 30s, well-dressed, looks nervous as hell. "Excuse me," she says, "are you Alex, Emma's fiancé?" I'm confused, but I say yes. She introduces herself as Rachel and asks if we can talk privately. She looks so uncomfortable that I'm thinking maybe she's a wedding vendor or something. We sit down and she goes, "I don't know how to say this, but I think you need to know something about Emma." My stomach immediately drops. You know that feeling when you know you're about to hear something that's going to change everything? Yeah, that. Rachel tells me she's married to David, who apparently is Emma's ex-boyfriend from college. They dated for 2 years, broke up about 4 years ago when he moved to another city for work. Rachel and David have been married for 2 years. David came home 3 weeks ago and confessed something to me, Rachel says. He said Emma contacted him out of nowhere about a month ago. She told him she was getting engaged but wanted to see him one more time before she settled down. Those were her exact words. I'm sitting there trying to process this while Rachel continues. They met up at a hotel. David said it was supposed to be just coffee to catch up, but Emma seduced him. They slept together. He felt terrible afterward and confessed to me because he couldn't live with the guilt. The timeline was devastating. Emma had contacted her ex right after we started seriously discussing marriage. She slept with him literally 3 days before I proposed. Rachel pulls out her phone and shows me screenshots of text messages between Emma and David. There's no denying it, the phone number matches Emma's, the timeline matches perfectly, and the writing style is unmistakably hers. Emma is telling him how much she's missed him, how her current relationship is comfortable but not exciting, how she needs to get this out of her system before committing to someone else. The worst part, in one message Emma says, "Alex is perfect on paper, but you know how to make me feel alive. Just need one more night to remember what passion feels like, then I can settle into my safe, predictable life." Another message read, "I love Alex, I really do, but it's not the same kind of love I had with you. It's practical love, marriage material love, but before I commit to practical forever, I need to feel that fire one more time." Wanted to throw up right there in the coffee shop. Every word felt like a knife. Practical love, safe and predictable. Was that really how she saw our relationship? Rachel had more screenshots. Emma talking about how she'd always regretted the way things ended with David, how she'd spent years wondering what if, how she'd compared every guy she dated to him. Including me, apparently. Rachel explains that she's telling me because she'd want to know if she were in my position. Her marriage is in counseling now, but she couldn't live with herself knowing I was about to marry someone who had betrayed me so completely. I thanked Rachel, got her contact information in case I needed those screenshots later, and left. I didn't go back to work. I just drove around for hours trying to figure out what to do. When I got home that evening, Emma was in full wedding planning mode. She had dress magazines spread across the dining table, venue brochures everywhere, her laptop open to some wedding planning website. "Babe, you're home," she said, running over to kiss me. "I found the most amazing venue. It's a little over budget, but I think we can make it work." Looking at her, acting so normal, so excited about our future, while knowing what she'd done, it was surreal. Like I was living in some alternate reality. I didn't say anything that night. I needed time to think, to figure out how I wanted to handle this. Over the next few days, I started paying attention to things I'd previously ignored. How she was always on her phone, how she'd gotten secretive about her messages, angling the screen away from me when she texted. How she'd been staying late at work more often, coming home with stories about projects and deadlines that seemed increasingly elaborate. How she'd started working out more, buying new lingerie that I never saw her wear, taking more care with her appearance on days when she claimed to be busy with work. I also noticed she'd been more distant physically. We'd gone from being intimate several times a week to maybe once every 2 weeks, and even then she seemed distracted, like her mind was somewhere else. When I'd try to talk to her about it, she'd blame stress from work or wedding planning. There were other things too. She'd started picking fights over stupid stuff, how I loaded the dishwasher, what TV show we watched, whether I was being social enough at parties. Looking back, I think she was trying to create distance, maybe even trying to make me break up with her so she wouldn't have to be the bad guy. I also called Rachel back and asked if she could send me those screenshots. I needed proof because I knew Emma would deny everything. Rachel was incredibly understanding and said she'd been hoping I'd ask because she had even more evidence. Apparently David had shown her Emma's initial LinkedIn message and subsequent emails before they moved to texting. A week later, I finally confronted her. She was planning some wedding detail, talking about flower arrangements or something, when I just couldn't take it anymore. "Emma, we need to talk about David." The change in her face was instant. Color drained from her cheeks, her eyes went wide, pure panic. "What about David?" she said, trying to sound casual, but her voice was shaking. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots Rachel had sent me. "I know about the hotel, Emma. I know about everything." For maybe 10 seconds, she just stared at the phone, then she tried to deny it. "That's not what it looks like," she said. "David's lying. He's trying to break us up because he can't stand that I'm happy." "Emma, these are your words, your text messages. Those could be fake. Anyone can fake text messages." I showed her more screenshots, including ones with timestamps that perfectly aligned with when she'd told me she was working late. That's when she switched tactics. "Okay, fine, I met up with him," she admitted, "but nothing happened. We just talked. He's lying about sleeping together because he wants to cause problems." "Emma, stop lying to me." "I'm not lying. You're going to believe some random woman over your fiancé." This went on for about an hour. Every time I presented more evidence, she'd come up with another excuse or explanation. Finally, she broke down and admitted to sleeping with him but tried to minimize it. "It was a mistake," she sobbed. "I was scared about getting married and I panicked." "Didn't mean anything. It was closure." "Closure? You told him I was perfect on paper but not exciting." "I was confused. I love you, Alex. I want to marry you. It was just cold feet." I told her the engagement was off. I couldn't marry someone who had betrayed me so completely and then lied about it repeatedly. That's when she lost her mind. "You can't call off the wedding," she screamed. "Do you know how embarrassing that will be? We've already sent save the dates. I've put deposits down on everything." "Emma, you cheated on me." "It was one mistake, one night. That doesn't erase 3 years together." She kept going, getting more and more hysterical. She threw her engagement ring at me, then immediately demanded I give it back. She called me controlling, said I was being dramatic, accused me of looking for an excuse to leave her. When I didn't back down, she threatened to tell everyone I was abusive. When that didn't work, she said she'd tell people I cheated on her. I pointed out that I had proof she was the one who cheated. She just got angrier. Finally, I told her I was staying at my brother's for a few days, and when I came back, I wanted her moved out. We'd figure out the apartment lease later, but I needed space. "If you leave, we're done forever," she threatened. "We're already done, Emma." Next few weeks were absolute chaos. Emma started a full-scale campaign to make me the villain. She told her friends and family that I'd called off the wedding because I had commitment issues and had gotten cold feet. She said I was controlling and paranoid, that I'd accused her of cheating with no proof, that I'd flipped out over her having coffee with an old friend. She conveniently left out the part about actually cheating. Her friends started messaging me, calling me an asshole for abandoning Emma right after getting engaged. Her sister called me heartless and said I was destroying Emma over nothing. Her mom left me a voicemail saying I was making the biggest mistake of my life and that Emma was devastated. Her dad, who had been so supportive of our relationship, sent me a text saying he was disappointed in me and thought I was better than this. The worst part was that I couldn't defend myself without sharing intimate details about what Emma had done. Honestly, part of me still wanted to protect her privacy even after everything she'd put me through. Emma also started a social media campaign. She posted cryptic quotes about betrayal and heartbreak, shared articles about men who can't handle strong women, liked every post her friends made about toxic masculinity and commitment phobia. She never mentioned my name directly, but anyone who knew us could read between the lines. But the worst part, Emma started showing up everywhere I went. My gym, my favorite restaurant, the coffee shop where I like to work on weekends, even my office building. She'd coincidentally be there, trying to talk to me, begging for another chance. She'd dress up in outfits I used to compliment her on, wear the perfume I'd bought her for her birthday, do her hair the way I used to say I loved it. When I'd try to leave, she'd follow me to the parking lot, crying and pleading. "Please just talk to me," she'd say. "You can work through this. Don't throw away 3 years over one mistake." When I blocked her number, she started calling from different phones. When I blocked her on social media, she had her friends send me messages on her behalf. About a month after I ended things, she showed up at my apartment at 2 a.m., drunk and crying, pounding on the door and screaming that she loved me. She was yelling about how sorry she was, how it would never happen again, how we were meant to be together. My neighbors called building security, and when they tried to escort her out, she started claiming I'd invited her over and then changed my mind. The security guard had to call the police because she wouldn't leave voluntarily. When the cops showed up, she tried to tell them I was her fiancé and we'd just had a fight, that she lived there and had every right to be in the building. I had to show them the lease with only my name on it and explain that we'd broken up and she'd moved out. She started dating someone new within 6 weeks, some guy from her work named Marcus. But she kept reaching out to me through mutual friends, saying it was just to make me jealous, that she'd drop him immediately if I'd take her back. She'd have her friends casually mention in conversation how Marcus was just a rebound, how she was still wearing the necklace I'd given her, how she'd kept all our photos and couldn't bring herself to delete them. One of her coworkers actually reached out to me on LinkedIn to tell me Emma talked about me constantly at work, that she'd cry in the bathroom after seeing my Instagram stories, that she'd made Marcus delete his social media because she was paranoid he'd see my posts somehow. The poor guy had no idea he was dating someone who was completely obsessed with her ex. The craziest part happened about 4 months later. I was at a wedding for one of my college friends when Emma showed up. Turns out she knew the bride from some yoga class and somehow got herself invited. But here's the thing, she'd RSVP'd as a single guest, then showed up with Marcus as her +1 without telling anyone. The bride was furious because it messed up the seating chart and catering count, but Emma acted like it was no big deal. She spent the entire cocktail hour trying to position herself where I'd have to see her, laughing loudly at Marcus's jokes, making sure I noticed how happy she looked. She spent the entire reception trying to talk to me, following me around, telling anyone who would listen that we were working things out. When I finally told her firmly to leave me alone, she caused a scene. "You ruined my life," she screamed in front of everyone. "I made one mistake and you threw away 3 years. You're heartless." Security had to escort her out. It was mortifying. Through all of this, Rachel and I stayed in touch occasionally. She'd update me on how her marriage counseling was going. They worked it out, apparently, and she'd warn me if Emma tried to contact David again, which happened a few times. "She's obsessed with the idea that you two are meant to be together," Rachel told me during one of our conversations. "David said she keeps texting him asking if he thinks you'll ever forgive her." The answer was no, absolutely not. It's been 6 months now and Emma finally seems to be getting the message. The constant contact has stopped, though she still watches all my Instagram stories from fake accounts. I know it's her because there are always new accounts with no followers that view my stuff within minutes of posting. I'm in therapy now, trying to work through the trust issues this whole situation created. My therapist says what Emma did was a form of emotional abuse: the cheating, the lying, the manipulation, the stalking behavior afterward. I'm also dating someone new. Sarah's a teacher. She's kind and honest and straightforward. When I told her about Emma, her response was, "What kind of person does that to someone they claim to love?" That's when I knew I'd found someone healthy. Looking back, I can see red flags I missed with Emma. She was always a little self-centered, always needed to be the center of attention, got jealous easily but projected it onto me. She'd flirt with other guys at parties and then accuse me of being possessive when I was uncomfortable with it. She also had this pattern of lying about small things: where she'd been, who she'd been with, how much money she'd spent. I thought they were just white lies, but now I realized they were part of a bigger pattern of dishonesty. The hardest part was realizing that the person I'd planned to spend my life with was essentially a stranger. The Emma I fell in love with was largely an act she put on to keep me around while she did whatever she wanted behind my back. My brother put it best: "You didn't lose the love of your life, you escaped a nightmare before it got worse." He's right. If she could cheat days before our engagement, what would she have done during our marriage, when we had kids, when we had a mortgage and shared finances and all the complications that come with building a life together? I dodged a massive bullet. The wedding deposits were a financial hit. We lost about $8,000 between the venue, photographer, and other vendors. Emma tried to make me pay for all of it since I was the one who broke up with her. I told her she could sue me if she wanted, but I wasn't paying for a wedding that got canceled because she cheated. She didn't sue. I heard through mutual friends that she and the rebound guy broke up after a few months. Apparently she was still talking about me constantly, and he got tired of feeling like he was competing with her ex. She's single now, as far as I know. Still posting cryptic quotes on social media about true love and second chances. Still hoping I'll change my mind, probably, but I won't. What she did was unforgivable. Not just the cheating, but the lying, the manipulation, the way she tried to gaslight me into believing I was overreacting. Person who truly loves you doesn't betray you in the worst possible way and then spend months trying to convince you that you're the problem. I'm happier now than I've been in years. Sarah and I are taking things slow, building trust, being honest with each other about everything. It's what a healthy relationship should look like. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Rachel hadn't found me that day. Would I have married Emma? Would I have found out about the cheating eventually, or would she have been more careful next time? I guess I'll never know, but I'm grateful Rachel had the courage to tell me the truth. She saved me from making the biggest mistake of my life. To anyone reading this who might be in a similar situation, trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. And if someone betrays you this fundamentally, they'll do it again. Don't let them convince you otherwise. The trash took itself out, and I'm better off without it.